It's No Skips, the show where we put on our headphones, we hit play, and we don't skip any songs on the albums that I talk about, okay? Today's album, and I hope you'll agree with me about it being a No Skips album, is from the band 1,000 Foot Krutch. They are a Christian band, they are a rock band, and I wanted to talk about them today because this album was the first I ever heard by them, and it is one that I still own to this day, and I still play to this day, okay? Even with me not really being in the church scene anymore, okay? 1,000 Foot Krutch, Phenomenon. From the year 2003, came out September of 2003, and this really, in my opinion, was the soundtrack for a lot of high school football games in the fall of 2003. And it was also the soundtrack of ESPN a little bit too, with some of their college football games. Whenever they would go to commercial, they would play songs off this album. It was a big one for 1,000 Foot Krutch, the Canadian band. And let's get into some of the singles, okay, off of this thing. Phenomenon was the first single that came out from the album Phenomenon. That sounds kind of appropriate. And then they had Rock Fist. Rock Fist was one that was picked up by ESPN for college football games. It was one that played at a lot of pre-games for a lot of high school football teams, a lot of college teams, maybe even some NFL. I don't know. I didn't go to any of those games back in 2003, but I did go to a lot of high school games, and that song was played a lot. Bounce was another one that was played a lot. Especially in those football games, sporting, events, that sort of deal. And then they also had a slower song that was the fourth single off of this album called This Is a Call. Another great song, a slower song, but a great one as well. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that they are a faith-based band. They are a Christian band. But one thing I want to specify, because Christian music has changed so much in the last 20 years, they were still involved in the Christian music scene that was not so much about we need to make every single song about our faith. And they more were saying, we just want to entertain you. And if by entertaining you, you decide you want to have a conversation about what we believe, we're open to it. Basically, if you're moved by the music, great. But if you just want to listen to the music, that's cool too. We're not trying to get you a certain message. We're not trying to pound that message into your head. And that's the Christian music I grew up with. And that's the Christian music that I enjoy, because it's something that you can put on in the car and you don't alienate the people who are also in the car with you who might not believe the same thing as you. Okay. So for me, you're going to hear me talk about Christian music a little bit on this show. But most of the bands I talk about are like that. They might have one faith-based song that is straight up faith-based worship music, but it's not like today where every single song has got to be faith-based message. And by the end of it, you're like, was there a song there, or were they just trying to beat me over the head with the Bible? This is not that album, okay? This is just a rock album. There are some elements to it sprinkled in, but you don't have to be a Christian to enjoy this album. But again, lots of great songs on this. Obviously, no songs do I skip, but some of the songs I enjoyed that were not singles. For example, Last Words. I really enjoy that song, Last Words. I also enjoy the song Faith, Love, and Happiness, which sounds like a sign you would see in somebody's kitchen, but it's not like that. It's a good rock song. I Climb is another great song as well. New Design. Now, New Design, I don't play instruments. I just enjoy music, but I want to say it's the bass line in that song that really makes it work. But it's just something about that song. When it starts out, you just feel like moving. Best way I can explain it. Okay. It's just when you hear that first couple of notes in that song, you're like, oh, okay. Even if you've never run before in your life, you're like, oh yeah, let me get the sneakers on, tie my shoes real tight. I'm going for a mile run to this song, right? And hopefully you can run that mile in about 3 minutes and 29 seconds, because that's how long the song is. But anyway, I really enjoy this album. Again, no songs do I skip on it. It's Phenomenon from 1,000 Foot Krutch. If you happen to listen to it, let me know. Did you skip any songs on this album? Okay, did you skip any songs on this album? If you didn't, if you agree with me, make sure you let me know in the comments below, because sometimes I feel like I'm on an island when it comes to some of these albums, where other people are like, no, man, I skipped 5 songs off that thing. There's only one good song off of that. So if you're like me and you're saying this is a no skips album and you're ready to fight for it, put on some 1,000-Foot Krutch, and let's make sure we let people know this is a no skips album. Again, from 2003, 1,000-Foot Krutch phenomenon. Check it out. By the way, we'll have another episode for you next week. And until then, my friends, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time on No Skips.